Brian, I would request you to please stay on with me. The Department of Justice has issued a statement regarding the continued examination of photos and other materials recovered in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Photos and other materials will continue being reviewed and redacted consistent with the law in an abundance of caution as we receive additional information, the DOJ said. This comes as authorities process evidence linked to ongoing investigations, ensuring compliance with legal standards while handling sensitive content. Brian, so we're now seeing that more files in the Jeffrey Epstein case will continue to be reviewed as per the Department of Justice.
Oh, well, yes, as of now, clearly this has been stated itself that by the DOJ, that is the Department of Justice, that other photos, materials will be continuing to be reviewed. Not only that, they would be redacted, and this will be in accordance with law and out of abundance of caution as additional information becomes available. And clearly, many photos, videos, documents were unleashed also. And now even as the DOJ has tweeted on their platform X, they will be continuing to review and redact more photos and other materials. Medha.
All right. Now, according to posts on X, a letter from a woman calling herself a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein wrote to the Department of Justice on a grave and indefensible violation arising from the release of records. She accuses it of blowing her cover in file dump while burying a 2009 FBI report. She says the agencies are withholding the report in which she mentioned Jeffrey Epstein. The statement reads, "The DOJ asserts that my own file requires prolonged review to determine whether redactions are appropriate. Yet it had no difficulty publicly releasing my identity in a mass disclosure." Brian, we're now seeing that a victim has come forward in the Jeffrey Epstein case and said that her identity has, been breached as part of the Jeffrey Epstein case files that have been released.
Well, yes, an Epstein survivor who had alerted the FBI as early as 2009 has strongly criticized the U.S. Department of Justice, accusing it of exposing her identity during a recent document release while simultaneously delaying the disclosure of her own FBI complaint. In a sharply worded letter to the DOJ, the survivor said that authorities failed to properly redact sensitive information in the December 19 Transparency Act release, resulting in her name and identifying details being made publicly without protection. She also expressed outrage that her personal safety and privacy were compromised in a mass disclosure. And not only that, the survivor pointed out that what she called a staggering contradiction, noting that while the DOJ claims her individual FBI file requires prolonged review for reductions, the process now pushed to Feb 2026 despite pressure from senators and lawmakers. And not only that, she underscored that the Transparency Act explicitly mandates the protection of victims' identities, accusing the DOJ of violating both the spirit and the letter of the law.
Brian, please stay on with me. At least 16 files have vanished from the US Justice Department's public webpage, hosting records related to late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, less than a day after they were initially released. The files, part of a larger trove made public on Friday under a new transparency law, were available briefly before disappearing on Saturday, with no immediate explanation from the Department of Justice. Other removed materials reportedly include images of artwork and additional photos from Epstein's properties. Brian, we're now learning that 16 files have vanished from Justice Department's webpage as part of the Jeffrey Epstein case files.
Well, yes, as of now, at least 16 files, when you mentioned, yes, have rather disappeared from the U.S. Department of Justice public website that was hosting documents linked to late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Not only that, there were less than 24 hours after the records were made public, and among the missing material is also a very important file that reportedly even contained a photograph showing President Donald Trump as well. Yes.
Now, do we perhaps know that why these Epstein-related files were removed within 24 hours of their publication?
While what we are getting to know, like even Democrats have flagged the apparent removal of a photograph of Donald Trump from the Justice Department's relief of Epstein-related files, what we are getting to know from our sources itself, the missing documents, which were accessible on Friday, but could not longer be found by Saturday, which is less than an hour, less than 24 hours, included image showing Donald Trump with Epstein, Melania Trump, and even Epstein's long-time associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. The sudden disappearance of the file has also sparked political questions and also calls for transparency and clarity on the redactions and removals. Yes.
Brian, please stay on with me. Now, the Democrats have noted the photo of US President Donald Trump apparently removed from the Department of Justice release of the Epstein files. The missing files, which were available on Friday but no longer accessible by Saturday, included a photograph of Trump alongside Epstein, his wife Melania Trump, and Epstein's longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Brian, we're now learning that these files that have disappeared also had one photo in which you had the current US President Donald Trump along with the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, as well as Epstein's longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump's wife Melania Trump.
Well, yes, clearly, just a while back I mentioned the same fact that yes, this document which was accessible on Friday then disappeared in less than 24 hours, and Saturday was not being found, included Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and even it also had Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the long-term associate of Epstein. And this disappearance clearly marks and rather sparked political questions, call for clarity and reductions and removals itself. And this is again an alarming situation where even like you mentioned, Democrats have flagged off this apparent removal of a photograph of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Yes.
All right, Brian, thank you for sharing all those details with us. Shifting focus now, demonstrators took to the streets in Minneapolis